Hey guys, Lance here. Welcome to my review on Sennheiser's RS120 wireless headphones. For less than $100, it's going to be hard to find a better sounding pair of wireless headphones. However, there's definitely some considerations you'll want to know about before purchasing these, so I'll be going into that in more detail. Also, of course, talking about the sound quality, comfort, and features of these, as well as giving you a live sound leak test. Now do check below, and I'll include any important updates about these headphones, especially where you can get them at for the best price. If you're interested in watching a group review of several wireless headphones, kind of a head-to-head comparison, check below for a link to that video as well. So I'll go ahead and walk you through the features, show you how these headphones work. First, what's included is you have your RCA cables here. So if you have your audio output with a right and left, you can go ahead and use these. If you need to, you can use this adapter. Go ahead and plug this in, and then it just becomes a single input. So this would work great for like a headphone output, say on your PC or on your computer. And so this certainly works great. It's kind of nice that they included it that way for you. Of course, then you have your gold-plated adapter here. So this might be for something like your receiver output. You can use that. Charging the headphones is just as simple as having them rest here on this base. As you can see, the little red light comes on, letting you know that they're charging. On the bottom of the base here, there's 3 different channels you can select. There's just a little button there you can slide over. I found the first one worked best. So if you're getting too much static or interference, you can try another channel, see which one's going to work best for you. So you can see this is the back of the unit here. You can actually mount this on the wall. And then also you have your power adapter and RC cable come out of the back here. In terms of the features on the headphones themselves, you have your on and off button here. And then over on this side, you have 2 things. You have your volume up and down. So you can just, it's basically like a little scroll wheel. And then tune. Tune I found to be really important for getting a good signal. One of the things that can be annoying about these is they go into auto shutoff mode after about 3 minutes. So that sound you're hearing, that's what happens after about 3 minutes, and it goes into that auto shutoff mode. So after your music or movie has stopped, this is what happens. So the challenge is, let's say you wanted to fall asleep with these, and your movie stops, and all of a sudden you get this loud static kind of blasting in your ears. It's fairly noisy, and so then if you turn it off, it goes away. So that is certainly a bit of an annoyance, but for your situation, it may not be an issue. It just depends on how you're planning on using these. Definitely something I wanted you to be aware of, though. One thing I've heard people talk about is the fact that there can be an annoying hiss in the background. And one thing I've learned since using these is you want to make sure your source volume is turned up loud if possible. For instance, if you're playing these through your PC or an MP3 device, or like my MacBook Air when I used them, what you want to do is turn up the volume all the way on your PC or MP3 player, and then adjust the volume on your headphones here. Otherwise, what happens is when you turn the volume all the way up on these, you start to hear a little bit of a hiss in the background. Now, normally, if you're listening to something extremely loud, you won't even hear the hiss. It'll just be faded into the background. But when you're using some of these other sources, like a PC or like your MP3 player, and especially if you don't have the volume turned up all the way, you will have to turn this up all the way just to get it at a moderate listening level. And then you'll hear the presence of this hiss in the background. So that's just something to be aware of if you get these, or maybe have these right now already, is to just pay attention to the volume levels, and that'll make a big difference. Now the tune feature I found to be real important for helping to get a good signal. So you'll want to scroll this back and forth until you get a really clear signal. And what I mean by that is you don't get that background static or hiss. It'll just sound, dead silent except for what you're listening to. Now that is one thing I found. It was a little bit trickier getting these dialed in, especially initially. Once they're dialed in, they're okay for the most part, but I did find these were a little bit, I'll use the word fussier, in terms of trying to get a real clear signal. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're bothered by that idea, you may want to consider another pair of headphones. If you don't mind a little bit of work to get them working right or getting that clear signal, then you should be just fine. Now these do come with rechargeable batteries, and the way that works is the pad twists off, and then you can see here you have your batteries that you can recharge. The nice thing about this setup is if these batteries lose their charging ability over time, they're easy to replace, as compared to, say, something like the Sony MDR RF985, where you're not able to replace the batteries. You have to pretty much replace the whole headphones should the batteries ever go bad. So pretty cool feature that way. The opposite one twists off as well, so you can kind of, what's nice, if you ever need to replace the ear pads, that way you can. Now I like that the headphones themselves have a good amount of range here on the ear cups. You can see as they move back and forth. You actually adjust the headbands over here on the side. There's just a click adjustment that way, to find a comfortable fit. Overall, I'd say the build quality is good. It's a plastic build, but it definitely, I can tell, it's durable and it'll last a long time. As far as the comfort on the headband, I'd say very comfortable, nice and plush up there. But on the ear cups themselves, they just seems like the padding is a bit soft. I wish they would have either made a little bit thicker pads or slightly more comfortable pads. But otherwise, I like that they're not that heavy and they have a nice look to them. Now, in terms of the comfort of these headphones, I found that they're great for, about 2.5 hours or so. After that, the discomfort starts to increase. And for me personally, I find that that's due to the fact that they're one, on-ear headphones, and two, the padding on these, it's just a little bit thin for my liking. You can start to almost feel like the plastic underneath the padding here, which, like I said, over time, as this is just pressing against your ears, that discomfort starts to grow. Now, initially when you put them on, they feel quite comfortable. Like right now, they feel snug, they feel really comfortable, and you think, wow, yeah, I could wear these all day long. And then as like I said, about 2.5 hours or so go by, you're like, oh yeah, I feel like I want to take them off. So again, from a comfort standpoint, it's going to come down to you. Obviously, each person's head's different. One thing I noticed is in other reviews I saw about these headphones, I saw others kind of sharing a similar opinion to mine. So I think it is something worthy of consideration. Bottom line, from a comfort standpoint, pretty good, just not exceptional. Regarding sound isolation, these actually do a really nice job, even though they're not around ear or over ear headphones. I found when I had these at a, even above a moderate listening level, not super loud, but I call it kind of generous with the volume, that it was really hard to hear what was going on around me, if at all. Especially someone talking at me, I couldn't even hear them. So from that standpoint, like I said, these actually do a pretty good job. Regarding the wireless range of these, they did a really great job. I was actually able to walk all around all 3 floors, up and down, trying to actually get static to come in, and it didn't. It really maintained a great signal. Now, as soon as I went outside, just even off the porch a few feet, immediately that static, the hiss starts to come into play, static in particular. So it drops off. There's a point where it starts to drop off really quickly. But I found like I said, wireless range was actually, I would consider it above average as far as that goes. So you should have no problem walking around your house if you want to do some housework while you're listening to something, or you're watching TV, then you want to go in the kitchen, get a snack, or whatever it is. These should work really well for you. So next I want to give you a live sound leak test. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and have a movie playing here while I turn these up to different volume levels. One thing to keep in mind is I notice the volume varies whether I'm watching a movie through, say, my Blu-ray player or I'm using the audio output on my MacBook Air. For example, if I turn these up all the way and I turn my MacBook Air up all the way, I can actually, that's actually a good listening level. But in terms of when I'm using the audio output on my Blu-ray player, I can't turn these up all the way. It's just too excruciatingly loud. So keep that in mind. These can certainly get very loud, but it's just going to depend a lot on your source, where they're coming from, or where the audio information is coming from. So go ahead and turn these on. And this is what I would consider kind of on the quiet listening level. I can hear the music, can hear what's going on, or hear the movie, I should say, but it's definitely a little bit on the quieter side. I'll go ahead and turn it up. So this is a good listening level. I consider it like a moderate listening level, and I'll turn it up a little bit more here. So this is really loud. I wouldn't really even want to listen to it at this volume for very long. So these and I could even get louder. I had just a little bit of room to go there. So yeah, this is turned up all the way. So this is 100% volume, which is really loud. I wouldn't want to listen to it at this level for very long. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of how much sound might leak out at different volume levels. Because these are open headphones, they do leak more sound than, say, closed headphones would. So that's something to consider if you want to make sure you're not affecting others around you with what you're listening to. Next, I'd like to talk about the sound quality. These did a really nice job. Sennheiser is known for making great sounding headphones, but I was definitely impressed, especially for the price point. Considering you're spending under $100, there is a good amount of bass. The mids are nicely detailed, and the highs also are crisp sounding. And that really comes alive whether you're watching movies, watching TV, or even listening to music. Everything sounds really nice on these headphones. The one thing that stands out, critically speaking, is the bass can be a little bit boomy. It's not to the point where it muddies up the mids or it really detracts from the listening experience. But that's one thing you would notice as you spend more money on nicer sounding headphones. You'd see that bass start to tighten up, sound a little bit more refined. But it still sounds nice. It's still very pleasing to listen to. When I was watching Lord of the Rings with these headphones, it was a very engaging experience. I like using that movie to kind of test out headphones because there's so many different aspects to it. You have a lot of bass and rumbling. You have kind of that low bass sounding voice from Treebeard, and that sounded really nice on these. Also, you have some hushed tones where people are speaking quietly, and you can definitely still hear them, and it's well articulated. Also, of course, you have this incredible background music that's just beautiful. All of that sounded really nice on these, whether it was a trumpet blowing or a violin playing in the background or just some epic kind of cinematic score going on. These really did a nice job of highlighting all that. Now, a listening experience for me has this threshold. Whether it's headphones or a home theater system, it's kind of a tipping point where headphones may sound okay or sound good, but then there's this tipping point where all of a sudden now the music or the movie, it's at an inspirational level. You know, it's at this level of engagement where you're getting into it. These hit that point for me. Certainly there's still room for improvement. These aren't perfect, and as you spend more money, you'll notice that intensity, that amplification of the emotion and the detail will increase. But the good news is, and what I was so happy about with these headphones, is you can come in at less than $100 and have a music experience or a movie experience that hits that inspirational element where you're brought in, you're engaged, and everything, and it comes alive enough where it's exciting to listen to. And that's what I love about great sounding headphones, is they take you to that place where you're inspired, you laugh, you cry, whatever it is. And these do that, and they do a nice job. So if sound quality is important to you, you'll absolutely love these headphones. Especially if you're trying to keep it under $100, these would be a great place to start. So I want to go ahead and wrap things up with my final thoughts and recommendation about these headphones. There's kind of several different things I want to bring up and kind of summarize here just to help you figure out, should you get these? Should you get another pair of headphones under $100? Or maybe should you upgrade and actually get something nicer? So some reasons to consider getting something else. If you're looking for headphones that you can wear all day long, at least several hours to all day, I would consider something else. Something like maybe the Sony MDR RF 985s. They are actually around ear, over ear headphones as opposed to these which are on ear. The other thing I would consider is, do you mind fussing with your headphone a bit to get them working right? Or do you want something that's, for the most part, fuss-free? You don't have to worry about tuning it really much. It's just plug it in, it's ready to go. You don't have to mess with it. If you want more of the fuss-free experience, again, I would consider something like the Sony MDR RF 985. I found that to be a little bit easier to get that nice sound quality from the get-go. It did take a little bit of tweaking, but not as much as these did. The other thing to consider is from a sound quality perspective. These sound great, and like I said earlier, they hit that threshold for me where they bring that inspirational quality to music, to movies. Everything comes alive, and it's very exciting to listen to. But that being said, I mentioned how the bass was a little bit boomy. Maybe you're thinking, you know what, I really want a more controlled, refined bass. I want even more detail in the mids, and I want the highs to be extra crisp, and I want everything to just come alive even more. If that's you, then I would certainly recommend spending more money. It's one of those situations where, especially with the Sennheiser line, as you go up in price, you do get better sound quality. So if you have that in your budget, sound quality is first and foremost, and you want to get the best you can for your money, definitely consider upgrading. And you can check below for a review to the group video where I'll be talking more about each of them individually, and then maybe you can figure out which one might be a better fit from there. So regarding the RS120s, I would say if you're looking for headphones that sound as good as can be for under $100, these will deliver. Also, from a comfort standpoint, if you know you're most of the time, like 80% of the time, you're probably not going to wear these for more than 2 to 2.5 hours. I think you'll do really well comfort-wise with these. And then finally, the annoyances I mentioned earlier, if you don't think those will be particularly bothersome to you, or maybe not even an issue at all, then these headphones will be awesome. I think you'll love them, you'll be super happy with them, and get a lot of use out of them as well. So hopefully this review was helpful for you. As always, leave a thumbs up if it was. I appreciate that. And again, check below for any updates about these headphones or information, especially where you can get them at for the best price. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in the group review of several wireless headphones, kind of a head-to-head review, check below for a link to that video as well. But otherwise, thanks for your time. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you in another video.